Hello and welcome to The Rollball with me, your host, Kieran. This is the show where we talk about all things touch, from tactics, tournaments, and everything in between. This is our first ever episode. In the future, we'll bring you stories from across the touch community, players, refs, coaches, everyone who makes it happen. But who better to kick us off today than one of the people who founded the Six Darts Touch series, Mark, head coach and player from Arroyo Alligators. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Good morning, mate. How are you? I'm really good, thank you. Quite cold and rainy here in Valladolid, but it's it's okay. I'm alive. That's the main thing, right? I'm alive.
So let's talk about Six Darts. How did the idea for the Six Darts Touch series first come about?
Right. So we had a crazy idea, Danny and I. Well, Danny and I met 4 years ago at a tournament here in Valladolid, obviously when he was kind of more involved with the Rebels. And we didn't have a clue what we were doing. Like, my club here, the Arroyo Alligators, were about 5 weeks old in terms of like the starting of the club. And Victor Suarez, the previous president of Touch Spain, had kind of organised this 4-team tournament in Valladolid. And we were like, all right, let's go rock and roll. We had like 30 players playing for one day. It was mental. Like, it was mental. We were like clueless, like completely clueless. And that's not being disrespectful to the players. They just didn't have the idea of the game. There was one or two that had played. And then Danny and I met, and obviously we're both from England. He's from Leeds originally. I'm from Coventry, kind of poles apart in terms of like distance and stuff. Sorry, my brain's gone dead. And then we got talking about what the need is for the clubs, and kind of just go back a little bit to the Alligators. We kind of progressed too quickly in terms of like the development. We played in the national second division for the first year and got promoted to the Liga Nacional, which was great. It was all euphoria and blah blah blah. And the reality was we weren't ready for it. We weren't ready to play at that level. And that was, the players made a really good effort to travel. The first round was in Montseny in Barcelona. The second one was in Irún in País Vasco. And it was great. And the reality was that we just weren't at that level. And we got relegated back out of the La Liga Nacional the first year. And we kind of looked at the club, and it was kind of like, what do? We need to go back to basics. Like all sports, right? You execute the basics, then the rest of it kind of takes care of itself. So Danny and I were talking about the need for something here in Spain, mainly for developing clubs or newer clubs that want to compete, but not at the highest, well, not the highest level, but certainly a higher level than like social touch. So we come up with some ideas, Northern League, like different ideas. And then Danny is the owner of Six Darts branding, marketing and branding company. And he's like, well, Six Darts, 6 players, etc. It kind of all kind of connects into one in touch. So we kind of a year and a half ago created the Six Darts series. We did the first round here in the factory of Michelin, which was mental. But the natural grass field, we painted it by hand with rollers. It was mad. We bought the paint for the field from Leroy Merlin, and 4 or 5 of us spent, I think it was about 4 hours painting the field. We bought the broomsticks from the Chinese shop and rollers, like for the wall, like you paint the wall. And we painted it by hand, like the whole field by hand. It looked amazing. And then it just kind of got born from there. We had four teams. There was you guys from Getcho, the Alligators from Arroyo, Rebels came over from Mallorca, and then Pacaru from Madrid came with like a mix of players from Pacaru and Torrelodones, and we just kind of did a 14 tournament. And it was pretty good. It was a decent day. Like, it was sunny, it was June, it was hot, and kind of it just got born from there, and it was just a crazy idea, and it's just gone a bit mental. Basically, it's just gone a bit mental, as you know, and kind of like now we've got a proper hunter of people that are helping develop the series, and just kind of like we've got Laura who looks after the legal side of things, and Danny does the graphic design. Obviously yourself, you do the social media, and then Andy and Carlos kind of help out when they can. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's gone a bit mental, but it's all good. It's all good fun. So basically it was just an idea for competition and something to bridge the gap between social players and playing at La Liga Nacional or international touch. And we kind of copied the idea what they do in the UK. They do like Wednesday night social leagues. So whereas like, for example, there's one in Oxford, there'd be one in Bristol, there's one in London, where they kind of just meet on a Wednesday night and play it. It's a league. It is a league, but it's less kind of intense and competitive in terms of like serious competition. So we adapted the rules slightly for six starts. So instead of having 3 girls and 3 boys, you only need to have 2 girls and 4 boys, because it seems to be a recurring problem with most clubs around Europe. I think it's fair to say that they struggle with girls. I'm very lucky here in the Alligators in Valladolid that we don't generally struggle for girls. We've got quite a good group of girls, which is amazing. But I know other clubs do. So we don't want to stop clubs playing in 6 starts. So you can play if you've got all boys or all girls. You just don't win points as such in the league, as you know. So, but yeah, that's where it started from.
Brilliant. You've touched on it a little bit, and I'm going to give you a double-headed question here. So what was that first tournament like, apart from being a little bit rough and ready if you're painting pitches with paint rollers and broomsticks? And what were the biggest challenges in those early days?
I suppose kind of the biggest challenge was actually like when to launch it or how to launch it. Was kind of like, obviously it's Danny and I at first, and we just kind of like, well, let's do it. Let's just find a field. We were originally going to do it in Arroyo here in our home fields, but I think there was a sevens tournament going on or something. So Santi, my assistant coach here in the Alligators, he's the head of maintenance of Michelin in Valladolid. And they have like a sports facility with a swimming pool and paddle and all sorts. It's really cool. And they used to have quite a decent level football team in the field. And I was like, all right, let's do it in Michelin. Like, let's do it. And like the field's natural grass, it's quite flat. It's not perfect. The grass is not perfect, but it's decent. Change rooms are something like from the 1960s. Like the toilets were funny, right? They've got like these toilets where you have to stoop to like go to the toilet, and the people were like, what's going on? Shower heads have got like, the shower's got no heads. It's just water going out. But it was just a bit mad. But it was decent. Like, obviously getting referees was a challenge. Kind of, you know, Pablo, the lead ref from Touch Spain, came, and then Victor, one of the referees from Madrid, came, thankfully, and kind of organised that side of things. And then it was just deciding whether we do 20-minute games or 40-minute games, and just kind of like, you know, making sure that the teams had water and food, and kind of like what we were going to do with the Tercer Tiempo, the third half and stuff. So, and whether it was going to work, whether we were going to get teams involved. And we kind of sounded out a few teams like yourself and Getcho and Packaroo that are kind of, we're all, I don't want to speak out of terms or speak for other clubs, but I think we're all kind of at more or less the same level in terms of where we are in developing. Packaroo have been a slightly Packaroo, I think they were born in 2018 or 2019. Maybe I'm wrong. I think it was 2019. So they're, in terms of their development, they're a little bit ahead of like most of the other clubs in the Six Darts kind of family. And but yeah, we didn't know whether it was going to work, whether it was going to be any interest, but it seems to, everyone seemed to enjoy themselves. And you know, we were really focusing on keeping the cost down to a minimum. And you know, the day includes the tournament, the lunch or the almuerzo, water, fruit, and then the most important thing for people is the beers afterwards. So it's just kind of, and then Danny and I have been driving it ever since. And then we kind of this is the second season, right? Second season.
Second season. I think we just had our 6th event.
sixth event. Yeah, so it's kind of gone, and then more teams have expressed it. We have a policy of not inviting teams, like, so we put the information out, and then teams contact us and, like, you know, can we get involved in six starts? And there's a couple of teams south of Madrid, one in Alicante, not Alicante, near Benidorm. It was called Altea, but it's now called Mediterranean Touch. And then obviously the Los Naranjas in Cordoba showed an interest, but obviously logistically it's quite difficult because we're still at that early stage of kind of like deciding where we're going to go logistically because of cost to travel and stuff. So the last season, obviously they have seasons here in Spain. So obviously in the UK they play all year, whether it's summer or winter. So we, in theory, start in September and finish at the end of June. So it's kind of finding logistically where is accessible. So we've done rounds in Valladolid, we've done round in Madrid, we've done a round in Asturias, and then we've done around 2 rounds at your place, right, in Getcho. Yeah. So, and then looking further afield, the next round for us is in Soria in February. Then we go Madrid, and then we're going to go to Mallorca in June, which again has its challenges because of the cost, but the Rebels have traveled more or less to every round. So it's kind of our way of giving a little something back to the Rebels by traveling and giving them an opportunity to host a round. So that's,
yeah.
That's the,
so we're now like six editions in. When was the moment, or has there been a moment when you went, right, this is actually working, this is going somewhere? Was it after that first series, that first edition, and everyone sort of had a good time? Or
probably.
Come further down the line?
Probably, to be honest. It was kind of the response. So every time we do a round, we send out like a survey of like what we can do better, what we can't do better. And we do, Danny and I do listen to it, as you know, because obviously now you're involved with it. And some of it's like ridiculous, but the general consensus is that, you know, like we take on board what people want and what they say. Most of the problems are referees, which is, you know, an ongoing issue. And that's no one's fault, right? Let me make this very clear. Like we can look at what's not been done in the past in terms of the development touch or what hasn't been done recently. Like that's not important, right? Let's focus on what we can do, who we can work with, whether that's with Touch Spain, whether that's with Portugal, whether it's with England, with referees, with coaches. Like, it's really important that we don't focus on the negatives and focus on the positives of what we can do. And like, obviously, within the six starts, we'll work with anyone, right? Work with anyone. Could be fit, could be teams from Chile, Argentina, wherever, right? The guys from Pride, I'm just going to give these guys a bit of a shout out from Pride and Touch as well. Nick and Tom from the UK that have created the Pride in Touch initiative, because obviously touch is an inclusive sport. So big shout out to you guys. Nick, you're one funny dude, right? You kept me going during COVID with your funny videos. So yeah, kind of we knew after the first round. Danny was at the first round as well, so we kind of knew that we were onto something. And then it was just a case of listening to what the players and the clubs want and trying to adjust it. And you know, we can change the rules slightly. We play under fit rules, like, so we obviously, you know, roll balls correct, hips, etc., all the basic things, but we can adapt it slightly to suit what the teams want. So playing 20-minute matches rather than 40-minute matches. We've got some crazy ideas for the future, like with, like, you know, as you know, but obviously I don't want to give anything too much away at the minute. But yeah, after the first round, we kind of knew we were on to something because the interest just went pew. And obviously, as you know now, it's kind of gone a bit mad. The group was 5 teams. There's now, I think there's like 14 teams in the group that have expressed an interest. So, and that also,
11,
yeah,
right?
11. That also has its challenges because teams want to play, and then we don't want to expand the series too quickly and then kind of like make it rubbish, basically. Like we you know, most places have only got one field, which has its challenges. So if you have more than 6 teams, it's difficult to cram so many matches in. Obviously here in Arroyo, we're very lucky because we've got access to 2 fields. So obviously in September we did 12 teams, which again had its challenges, but we try and stick to 6 to 8 teams at the moment. And then we say in English, you need to walk before you can run. I know there's a similar expression in Spanish. So yeah, it's just kind of understanding what people want, trying to develop the game, and there's always going to be people complaining, like always going to be people complaining. You're never going to satisfy everybody, but if you can generally keep most people happy, then we're onto a winner, right?
Yeah, and I 100% agree with what you're saying. It's like we've got to go slow, and we have some great initiatives, or you've put some great initiatives in place to build it and garner more interests for teams to expand and work on certain areas. So, for example, the point system. I don't know if you want to touch on that, how the point system works with promoting the inclusivity of the sport.
Yeah, so again, we've kind of copied similar model they use. So it's called the O2 Touch Leagues or the O2 Social Touch Leagues in England mainly, and so they give an extra bonus point for female players. So the more female players you play, you get an extra bonus point. So we kind of looked at it from a little bit of a different perspective. So we reward teams that bring juniors, so under 18s and girls. So you receive an extra half a point for every girl and every boy in your group. So if you've got 4 juniors and 4 girls, you restart the round on +4 points. We kind of went a bit crazy with like giving too many bonus points, and then like the final league table in the first round in Vidalib was a bit distorted, and there's a few issues. So Danny and I think you were in that meeting where we discussed like, let's give half a point. And the initiative is like the more juniors and the more females you bring, the more bonus points you get. So if, in theory, you could have won one match before you've even started the tournament by giving the incentive for people to bring more girls and boys. And I think, I don't know whether you agree, but certainly in the last round, last month in Getcho, the levels definitely improved. Like the level in a year, it's mad.
Yeah, credits to all the coaches that have brought on
Absolutely.
these players. A lot of the players have been the same across every edition, and it's been brilliant, especially from someone who's joined the touch sport and touch community in the last 18 months. It's been great to see not only my own progress, but to see that everyone else around me within the Get Your team and other sides as well come on leaps and bounds and really only doing the tournaments every couple of months or so. I know that's all going to be doing with stuff that coaches are doing back on the pitch in the training sessions that we have between.
But I think it's also, kind of like if you look at Soria, for example, right? They've been a team for less than a year, and we were in a similar position. We were finishing last in tournaments, and I'm really competitive. I want to win, and now we're starting to win, right? Which is great for us and for me personally. We're starting to win tournaments, and like all the teams are quite even. There's no kind of like, no one's getting hammered. The games are quite close. Like the teams are winning by 2 or 3 scores, right? Whereas rather, you see in the La Liga Nacional, we lost to Montseny one day. I think it was 10-1 or something. And I was like, bleh. And it's not enjoyable, right? It doesn't do anything to motivate teams if you go there and get splattered by one of the better teams, let's say. So I think the level's definitely improved. Is it elite level? Obviously not, but it's definitely improved. The basics have definitely improved. And I bang on about basics every training session to my players. Just focus on your basic skills. And obviously having Steve involved from the Banbury Saxons has helped. He's done a couple of training sessions, just looking at a different perspective. Obviously, like England are miles ahead of every other nation in Europe. And is that a good thing in terms of competition? Maybe not, but you can't criticize the work that's gone in to developing touch in England. Like, it's mental.
No, in the last 15, 20 years, touching England has just shot
insane.
up, I think.
Different planet. And then you've got the Australians and the New Zealanders that are on, and then again the next level, right? So
yeah.
You can't criticize like nations for being good if they're going to put the work in, right? So kind of like that's the same for us at Six Dots. We're on it constantly. Like most days, Danny and I or you're exchanging messages about what can we do, what can we improve, and there is a balance, right? We all have families. You've got a child. I've got 2 young kids. I'm married, so there is a balance of not letting this interfere with your personal life, because it's important, right? You know, my wife's really cool with it. She's, you know, we've got an 8-month-old baby, and I returned to training a week after Lucas was born, and kind of like, you know, we're very lucky. My kids are amazingly well behaved, and, you know, she understands that it's my hobby and stuff. So, you know, big shout out to Marta, and all the wives and girlfriends and families that, you know, put up with players playing touch and traveling around, even the world international. You know, big shout out to all the families and the support crews and everyone that's involved with the sport, because it is a mega sport, right? You know, I started playing touch like 10 years ago in Banbury, and I had no clue, right? I had no clue. But it's such an amazing sport. Like, it's such an amazing sport to play. Is it a good spectator sport? Not really to watch. It's not great to watch.
Not if you're outside. I think if you're outside of a team, watching it can be a bit dry. But one of the best things I think about this touch series we're having is the atmosphere off the field. You know, like you can have the game going on, but whilst that's happening, if you're not playing or you're not warming up, there is a great mix of teams, mix of people from different backgrounds.
Massively, right?
Getting on so well. You know,
how many nations are in the series, right? I mean, from people from different. There must be.
Yet to alone, we're at least 10 different nations. So
yeah, it's crazy, right? It's crazy. It's crazy.
We've got so many different people from different walks of life all coming together, having one thing in common, and getting on rather well.
Yeah, there is
a lot of people. Don't think from tournament to tournament, but you'll catch up with them, and it's one of the best things about it, which is then bringing in this balance between the competitive side that we all want to go out and win our games and win a tournament, but at the same time, we're all friendly with each other. Yeah, you're on the pitch, you're going at it, trying to go, like, let's get this done, let's do my job. Game finishes, catch up, chat, the tiempo, everyone's chatting, everyone's mixing, having a great time.
Yeah, and I think that's like there are some issues with obviously the refereeing and players talking back to referees. And it's something that we've really focused on in the last round, more so in Getcho than in Valladolid. And it's going to take time to get that out of the game. And, you know, and it's also not just about the players learning to be quiet. It's also about developing the referees to be assertive and say, right, I've made this call, you accept it. And, you know, there were still some issues in Getcho. It wasn't as bad as it was in Valladolid, like the first round, but that is going to take time. And, you know, the more we develop the refs and the higher the level they go, you know, the better it will be. If you look at like an elite game in the UK, for example, it's actually quite easy to referee elite players because they know all the rules, right? And they know what's right and what's wrong. And yeah, obviously everyone pushes the boundaries with the referees. But what we don't want is that culture in six darts or even in touch here in Spain, is that the players think that they can control the game. Like sometimes, like we all make mistakes. Right? I referee as well. I don't enjoy it, but I do it. And kind of like you have to just say, accept the decision or get off the field, and kind of like, we'll get there. Rome wasn't built in a day, right?
Exactly. And I think that's one of the, moving on to my next question, is one of the goals from the Six Darts leadership is focusing on the levels of refs, the number of refs, and the quality. So, and what other goals are there for the next few years?
We've got a kind of a 5-year plan of where we want to take it, and like the world is the oyster, right? Who knows where this is going to end up going? Like it's you know, but ultimately we've got to get the basics right first. Like we want to, you know, at the moment it's a mixed tournament, which is great. We'd like to introduce men's, women's, juniors. The juniors are a massive thing here, and basically just get it to a point where every round is very consistent. And, you know, just going back to what you're saying about the ambience and stuff, like, you know, we want to, it's not just about the tournament, right? It's okay having a tournament and people playing and winning and going home. But what the most important thing is that people go to a tournament and go, it was wicked, and we want to go back the next year. We want to play in the next round, or we want to be involved in this. That's the key point. It's very easy to organise a tournament, take everyone's money, and then everyone just disappears. And then the next year you do it and people don't want to come back, right? And then you've also got to evolve. Like we've got some games that we have. For some reason, I don't know why, we haven't introduced the game zone into the fields. We've got Jenga, we've got cornhole, we've got an archery thing, that footballs, frisbees, and stuff that we should have probably introduced in this season, but we'll do it. Maybe we'll do it in Soria. It's just to entertain the players, so when they're not playing, they're not just sitting around in their like zones and just kind of socializing with each other. We can get them kicking a football around, or throwing a frisbee, or playing cornhole or archery or something, or making silly videos for social media. So there's loads of things that we could do. Obviously, we've got the Six Darts Barbarians team that we're trying to put together, which is really tricky because players are traveling from, Spain's massive logistically. It's massive, much bigger than the UK. So if we, for example, if we go down to Valencia from Valladolid, it's like 7 hours. From you guys, it's 8 hours. It's a long drive, and then players are tired. So if we organise a training, obviously Steve's a brilliant coach, right? Really good coach from the UK. He's also my good mate as well. Shout out Steve and Laura. So it's getting him to come over and kind of like train the team, and then the next day, if we do the train on a Sunday, most people want to travel back home. So it's kind of like that is a real focal point that we'd like to put together, because it'd be cool to have a Barbarians team from different clubs and then compete at a higher level against some good teams from France maybe, or from Ireland or Scotland or wherever. So there's loads of ideas we've got, but it's essentially first priority is getting more juniors playing, getting more girls playing, getting more teams involved in terms of running a club's hard, right? It's hard work. It's really hard work, and you need to be consistent. It's okay saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to start a touch team," and then 6 months down the line, you've not really moving forward. You've got to be on it constantly. Like the Alligators, we started with 4 players, right? We started with 4 players, and we've now got 41 in the group. And we've got, I think there's 12 girls in the group or 13 girls in the group. So it can be done, but you've just got to constantly drive the ship and kind of like move it forward and keep people interested, right? That's probably the key. And also know your level, right? Know your level. Like there's no point in, for example, you take one of the top sides from France or from Ireland or England or Wales or Scotland, they come over and play in Six Darts and they annihilate everyone, right? Kind of defeats the object. It's good to see like elite players play. We've had a couple come, obviously you saw in September, Laura, Steve's wife, is an England international. The year before, Cici Chong came, who's an international, and just kind of, you see the difference in where they play. They're very calm and very collective. But does it help us in terms of developing newer players to go and lose by 14 scores? Probably not. But then you tap in. What you do is, if they come, you got really good players. Same with rest, you got really good rest here. You tap into their knowledge, right? And you say, right, well, show me this, or what am I doing wrong here, or why am I being penalised for this, or kind of like, can you show me how to run a 32 properly, or even something simple as a 3 or 2 man drive, or a 3-person drive. Let's be politically correct, so I don't want to be accused of being sexist, right? Because we're an inclusive sport, right? So even driving properly or passing the ball, these are all fundamental basic skills of the game, right? Which is super important. So
and I think that you've covered perfectly what you got.
I waffle a lot as well, mate. Sorry, I waffle a lot.
It's all right. You've covered all my questions without me having to ask them, which is the best thing. Throws me off as well, but never mind.
No problem.
I just want to go, like you said, any funny or memorable stories from any of the tournaments. I'm trying to rack back through my memories of the pain I've done now, and I think for me, one of the ones that's going to stay in my head forever was the one you weren't at in
Madrid,
March last year, -2, sleet, snow coming down sideways.
Hallelujah.
Freezing cold, but still one of the best days of touch I've had, because it was what I'm used to, having grown up in the UK, used to crappy weather, and the Spaniards shrink inside and want to go back on themselves, which was incredible, and just the fact that people just kept going, and there's queues in the changing rooms for drying your shirts on the hand dryers. Yes, everyone shaking like mad. But yeah, an absolutely incredible day out. and just some conditions we never been, because everyone can play in the heat. Everyone can, here in Spain we're all used to the sun and the heat. In fact, yeah, it's one of the worst things for me, because being a redhead, the moment I go out in the sun, I burn.
Yeah, me too. I've got no hair.
Yeah, it happened to me in the League tournament at the beginning of this season. Burnt the backs of my legs, which is something I've never done before.
Yeah, I'm a bit. I'm not. I don't. Obviously, we're both English, and I love the sun, right? I when it's like 35 degrees outside, I'm the happiest. I hate this. Like today here, it's really cloudy and miserable. And yesterday was all right. We trained last night. It was quite nice. It was a bit windy, but it was all right. But yeah, obviously, my second child was born the week before the tournament, so it's probably wasn't a wise decision to say to Marta, "Oh, can I go to Madrid next weekend for a tournament?" Like, we've got a baby that's like 5 days old. Probably not. So sometimes you've got to say no. But yeah, I don't know. There's like painting the field with hand rollers. We must have looked like absolute lunatics. Like, and I think sometimes, because obviously you and I are from a different culture, and Spanish culture and English culture has a lot of similarities, but it also has a lot of like different differences. And like, I have no idea what my team probably thought. Like, what the hell is this dude doing? Like, painting the field by hand. And we did it though. It looked decent, right? It looked really decent. I mean, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't perfect, but it was. Everyone's like, "Oh my god!" So like, they're buying the rollers from the Chinese shop and then duct taping them to broomsticks and painting the field. Like, it's mental. Like, when you think about it, it's completely mental. And then the toilets in the changing rooms, the girls were like, "What is this?" And like, we can't change the facilities, right? What else has been quite funny? The winding you up's a good one. It's always good fun. But you and I can have good banter, right? So that's also part of it.
Yeah, there's been times where we faced each other, and it's been a back and forth between
like
us
when we,
on the pitch, and even when you're reffing me, there's back and forth.
yeah. Like, I mean, Getcho, for example, when we won the tournament, obviously we won the round in Oviedo, and I didn't enjoy it as much because there was some issues going on behind the scenes, and like, listen, they've been resolved, and it was no major problem. But at the time, it was kind of it was annoying me a little bit, to be honest, and it probably affected the way that I played. So I didn't enjoy that win, and then obviously we won in Getcha, and I kind of over celebrated. And then you were trying to give me a like high five and a cut, and I was just like, "Oh, fuck off, Kieran! I'm not interested in a minute." And like, so it wasn't being disrespectful and stuff, but it was just a release of emotions and just kind of like, and for me, just like, I'm not an arrogant person. I don't have an ego. It's just I love the fact that like, you see people playing sport and just being active, and like, it sounds a real cliche and sounds really a little bit like but it's not. Like, seeing players that you don't think that kind of like would never reach the level that they do, and then they score, and it's like you see their shoulders go because they've scored, and just kind of like, or they've won a game, for example, and kind of like, to see that reaction for me is like amazing, because we can all focus on winning, and obviously we all want to win, but seeing clubs like Soria is a really good example. The Rebels in Mallorca, I've got to shout out Jack, right? The Rebels were kind of like seen as like a social team, right? Just getting drunk and partying, and then they still do that, trust me, right? But they've improved massively over the last 18 months or so, like, in terms of their ability, and they're winning games now, like, they're winning games, and just kind of, and they're quite a hard team to break down, because they play a different way of playing, which is great, right? You play to your opposition, and sometimes when we play the Rebels, we focus too much on what they're doing rather than what we're doing, and it's kind of like, guys, focus on us, not on what they're doing. So they've improved massively. Like, kind of Carlos at Pacaru, his club's quite big. He's got a decent amount of players, and they play in the Madrid league, and so they're ultimately, the more you play, the more you learn, right? And it's
100%,
okay.
and playing around as well. Like what I say, you've said about the Rebels game style. I think one of the best things that we allow, or does happen in the six darts, is where teams are short of players, we're not short on volunteers who'll say, "Well, I'll give you guys a hand." Like we had it in the Madrid edition that I mentioned earlier. We were short of players. People joined us. At the back in the Ghetto one, 2 teams were short of players. Intocables from Cantabria were short, and Mallorca were short. But no one hesitates to say if they're asked, everyone goes, "Yeah, we want extra game time." And playing with other teams is one of the best ways you can develop. And I think this is what, as a player, and I think what's brilliant about Six Starts is that we facilitate that. People are
kind of.
welcoming enough.
I'm quite lucky with my crew. Like when we have a tournament, we always get like way too many players want to play, and like I don't have a problem with like selecting players, right? And kind of like saying to people, listen, you're not in the team, kind of like, because it's part of your role, right? It's not a personal thing. It's just, it's competition and we want to win. And we had 2 players, Alexis and Ruben from our crew. Ruben's quite a new guy, really funny dude as well. Got an amazing attitude, Ruben. And then Alexi, and I was like, listen, cut them and play. And they fitted into like different teams. So they ended up playing probably the same amount of games as my first team, let's say. And it was kind of cool, right? It's kind of cool, the girls are swapping around and they're playing with other teams because they're short. And then that also encourages teams not to pull out, right? And just, like Getcho, for example, they came to the first round with 3 players, Andy and 2 other guys, right? And ended up winning the tournament because they borrowed some players from all over the place, and just kind of like, it's great, right? It's great. It's amazing. Yeah. Sorry, I just dropped some on the floor.
No worries. Right, let's look a bit behind the scenes. I'm
not getting naked.
No, not yet. All right. Oh, you throw me off now. I've lost my question. Woo! Who are some of the unsung heroes of Six Starts, of the Six Starts Touch series?
Probably the guys and the girls that volunteer to do stuff like running the admin tents and stuff, and that has been a problem. Over a couple of rounds, there's kind of like something Danny and I have like really like told the host teams that you've got to have someone on the admin tent controlling the games and writing the scores down. And obviously we have the score sheet, so the captain sign it, the referee sign it, so when that's signed it's the final result. Yeah, they've been a bit of a challenge. Finding and sticking within the budget is also a challenge. Like I don't think we're absolutely, let me make this very, very clear, right? We are absolutely non-profitable, right? We don't make money from this. Danny and I don't take any money from Six Stars. It's all about developing the sport. And some people go, oh, you must be in it for something. We're not. We do it because we enjoy doing it. And any money that's left over, as you know, is like we invest back into buying trophies. And like every round we give each team, whether you finish last or first, get a trophy and a certificate saying well done for participating. So yeah, getting volunteers to help, and mainly to run admin, and referees is a huge problem as well. It's a huge problem. Like at the moment we're more relying on player refs than actual specific full-time refs, and obviously then bringing in referees from, there are some good referees here in Spain. There are some good level referees, but there's not enough of them. And obviously then you have to accrue the cost into, for example, if we bought Eric from Barcelona, who's a really good referee, we've got to pay for him to his flight, his accommodation, his food. And then Pablo, the lead ref here in Spain, is also a very good referee. And then again, he lives in Galicia, so it's paying for him to stay. And it's kind of how do you balance it? Do you spend 50% of the budget on referees and then not give the players, I don't know, a lunch, or the Tessa Tiempo is like, I don't know, a piece of tortilla or something? It's kind of, that's a massive challenge, And it's something that obviously we're working on, because we've got Stevens coming over from England in January to run a level 1 or level 2 course. And it's just, have there been enough courses run here over the last 10 years? Probably not. But as I said earlier, like, let's not focus on what hasn't been done. Let's focus on what can be done. And obviously Danny and I have got a communication group with Touch Spain. So we're kind of like communicating with the president of what we're doing, what we're planning to do, and etc. We have a really good relationship with the Portuguese guys. Like, So yeah, the referees and admin is a real problem, and then obviously like cleaning the installations after you finish. 'Cause it's really important that we have a great day and we have fun. But if we leave the fields in a shithole,
Mm.
excuse my language, but it's the best expression to use, then the people that own the fields are like, nah, you're not coming here again. So it's kind of like they're the main challenges. Referees and admin staff are the main challenges. But you guys did a really good job with the admin in Get Show. And then it's it's a process, right? It's a process of developing to a point where we've got, because playing and reffing's hard. It's tiring. It's really tiring. But ultimately, at the moment, there is not really much of an option until we get more refs on board.
Yeah, and I want to say, personally, a huge thank you to everyone who has stepped up and filled in those roles of the admin,
Absolutely.
and especially referees. Personally, I think that without the referees, we can't play. So
Dead. The sport's
those who have
dead.
stepped up and filled in have been incredible. Um, just for example, Andy, he's a co-coach with me at Gettor. He's probably one of the referees we most rely on, and but every tournament he's there, he refs. Whether or not I agree with his decisions, it's another thing. That's between me and him. But I think our last edition, he stepped out of our squad to referee the final. Without him, we wouldn't have had a final, and I don't think anyone wants to see me and you doing rock paper scissors or a coin toss to decide who takes home first place. So referees absolutely are the heroes, and need a big thank you and big recognition
Yeah.
for what they've done.
Yeah, everybody is. We had like everyone, like Lara, the legal reps, Danny from Six Darts, obviously, like he's my co-founding partner. He does a lot of work behind the scenes, kind of like I'm the mouthpiece, and he kind of like sits in the background doing the design thing and kind of like orchestrating other things. And him and I communicate every day. And then Carlos from Pacaru, you guys at Getcho, the guys from Ossos and Intocables, and who else has played in the rounds? So the guys from Portugal, my mates from England, they've all been a part of it. So big shout out to all them as well. Like talking to, obviously this pod will kind of develop as it goes on, and we'll get more professional and more guests on. And like, as you know, we put out I put out a request for the people I know in the touch world, and we've had a mega response, like who's going to jump on this pod. And that's also going to develop and give us more of an idea, and speak about different people's backstories, which is really interesting. It's not just about it's a sport. There's human beings behind the sport, and kind of how, like Lara, for example, with the legal stuff. Like obviously, the constitution here and the laws are very different to other countries, so it's really good having her involved, where we know where we are in terms of insurance, and ultimately player safety is a priority. And kind of like everyone that's done their bit or have hosted around, big shout out, thank you. Obviously we've had some help with sponsorship from Coca-Cola, Euro Snacks. Where else have we had sponsorship from? Different
We've
local
had
shops.
Kaiko give us some things for our
Yeah.
event and sponsor us.
And it's
Provide.
amazing when you go to a businesses and say, look, we've got a tournament, can you help us out? And generally people won't give you money, but they'll give you products, like, and just kind of, it's really cool. If you don't ask, you don't get, right? So without them, kind of like, it would be really difficult. It would be really, really difficult. But everyone plays their part in this, and that's the beauty of it. It is for everyone, right? It is for everyone. It's not just about the people that are riding the bicycle. It's about the ones that are behind it, kind of doing their little bit to push it in the right direction. So,
Yeah, without everyone else, we wouldn't have events. Yeah,
absolutely.
we can't just turn up with squads. All right, let's move on to our not final section, but our quick fire segment. 6 touches. So I've got 6 questions for you. That
Oof.
let's see if you can answer it quickly or directly.
I doubt it, but we'll give it a go.
We'll give it a go. Okay. Cast your mind back. The first touch tournament you ever played in.
Oh. Uh, Tournament or social league?
Either.
I'll tell you when it was. 2000 and I'm going to say 2015 maybe. When did we launch the Saxons in Banbury? 2015. Big shout out to the Saxons as well. I miss you guys a lot, yeah. Even if it was left 5 years ago, I still miss it every day. Banbury Rugby Club's like different level. Like it's just
We're not going to go down the route of let's talk about our home rugby clubs. There's a
yeah.
between the two of ours.
Yeah. But yeah, big shout out to you guys of Banbury. I can't wait to see you guys soon. Oh yeah, so we launched it was Banbury Touch at the time. It's part of the O2 initiative. We didn't have a clue, mate. Didn't have a clue what we were doing. Like just a group of lads and a couple of girls. And so Gareth, who was the co-founder of the Banbury Touch at the time, organised like this triangular tournament at Banbury Rugby Club, and we were all excited. Like we had this kit that was like 20 years old and stuff. And then we invited one of the rugby clubs that kind of played touch, and then Oxford, who are like NTS level, decent, full of England internationals. And like, so we played this. I can't remember who it was. Like the rugby team. Oxford was the other touch team. I can't remember. They were going in with the shoulders and stuff, and we were like, "What's this? Like, this is not. This was rugby touch, right? It's slightly different." And it was like December, and it was fucking freezing. Right, it was cold. The pitch was like white with ice, and the floodlights are on, and you get that kind of condensation, misty kind of thing over the thing. It was madness. Like we had no idea what we were doing. Like just, but it kind of got born from there, and just kind of like we didn't have a clue what we were doing, mate. Honestly, we were trying to coach this group of players, and Gareth and I didn't really know what we were doing either. It's kind of like, let's just throw the ball around on a Tuesday night and see how things developed, and then it just kind of developed from there. And then in 2018 we were voted the best O2 touch club in the UK, which was amazing. We had the day at Twickenham, and like that's probably the highlight for me of what we went to. But yeah, it was mental. Like the first thing we ever did. Like it's mad like how things 12 years later, or 10 years later, of kind of still involved with it, and still mad passionate about it as I was kind of back then.
Yeah, I was just thinking that as you're talking.
That wasn't quick. That wasn't quick fire.
It
Sorry.
wasn't quick, but it's led me to think as well. And I think 10 years ago would have been around the same time I did the touch tournament at the O2 Touch League in Aylesbury with my college at the time. So it's interesting that we've more or less started the sport at the same time. You obviously continued through. I stopped at say an 9-year hiatus, and then rejoined last season. But I think that one of the great things about there is we got these touch leagues. You were saying leading of the shoulders. At the time, I was playing rugby league in the
You
summer.
still do it now?
I don't. It's the arm now. It's just straight out to the side. But yeah, it's the same issues. It's funny. Not much has changed. Okay, my next question. What would be your go-to post-match meal? Obviously here, the tercer tiempo, the third half, is very important. The social side of the sport. I know your opinions on certain dishes. We won't mention.
You can if you want. I don't mind. I don't want to offend any anyone. But yeah, for me, like, to be honest, it depends. I'm not that bothered about the after party, to be honest. Like, I'm not a miserable bastard. I like a party, but it depends. I need a dance partner, right? I need a dance partner, and kind of like, I'm not like a Getcho, for example. I'm so tired. Like I left Valladolid at 4:30 in the morning. All I wanted to do is eat kebab and have a glass of Coca-Cola. And like, obviously you guys made paella, right? And it's not my favorite thing, but I understand why. It's a very typical Spanish dish, and like, it's just not my thing. So for me, go-to meal, either a pizza or a kebab. I love a kebab and I love a pizza. Like, and depending on who I'm with, I don't drink that much like alcohol like anymore. But it depends who I'm with. I do like a beer, but I'm not mad into it. But yeah, definitely a pizza or a kebab for me with chips.
Yeah. Okay. Favorite touch skill or move? I was going to say you can't say stepping because I've seen you try and step.
I know. I'm awful at
not got any passes on you, so
I'll behave. No, I've got a pass. I just can't step. I'm pretty quick for my age. I'm 46 now. I can still shift.
I don't think you've gone around me yet, and I'm just a lump that doesn't move much.
I don't know, mate. Yeah, I'm a team player, mate. Generally, like when I play, I much prefer the assist than scoring myself.
Hmm.
Like much prefer it. And yeah, I'm not the most skillful player, obviously, but I think my fundamental basic skills are pretty decent, and I'm pretty fast over 20 meters. And even after that, I'm struggling, but it's my age, right? I love a scoop, love
Yeah.
a scoop. I love a long pass, like especially when the wing catches it. I love a long pass, and it's something that I do a lot. Like when before we start training every session, I always work on my own like basic skills for half an hour, like doing whether that's running a bronco or using the ladders or just throwing the ball against the rugby post. I'm always trying to improve as a player. Obviously, I'm getting old, so like this morning my ankle's like if you feel it. I'm 4 years away from 50, so I'm no spring chicken, but I'm in decent shape for my age. But yeah, I love a scoop. Love a scoop.
Okay. And next question: the hardest team you've faced?
Oh, probably. It's not a club team; it's a regional team. So I played in the national for the West Wildcats, which is the one level below the international level in England. It's fucking savage, mate. Honestly, the first year I played in it, I was like, oh my God. Like I'm like a out of my depth, kind of like I don't belong in this. This is just wild. Like the speed that these guys play. And it was men's, it wasn't me. It was where at the time the men's 35s, West Wildcats, and I was mad chuffed that I got selected to play, right? And I was like, you're gonna play Link. The first set of six, I just honestly, I had this was in back in 2018, maybe 2018. It was mental, mate. I was like, I'm out of my depth. I said to the coach, like, I'm out of my depth here. Like, I can't do this. The ball just is on the floor for like a millisecond, and then the guy's gone, and it's like I was like, shit. And then thankfully, well, not thankfully, because one of the guys got injured on the wing, like quite badly. Can't remember his name. And the coach, Amro from Oxford, he doesn't play anymore. Really good guy. He's like, would you play the wing? I was like, yeah, I'm well happy on the wing. But it's just relentless, mate. The speed is just relentless. Like, and it's obviously they play 40-minute matches and I did all right. Got a score, scored a couple. I was quite happy. I think we finished third. But the Southwest Saxons in the UK at the time and still are now, just different level, different gravy, mate. Honestly, like the guys, even the girls, like they're, and it's just brutal. It's like when you play international level, you see it. And we played the Saxons at Banbury Church at the time. We spent some time with the Scottish mixed open team before the Euros in 2018, and then again, no, 2016, and the World Cup in 2018. I think their dates are right. They were ranked 3 in the world at the time and like double European champions. These girls and boys were just different level. Like you watch them train, and then we played 2 friendly against them. I think we lost the first one 26-1 and the second one 23-3. To score 3 scores against these guys and girls were incredible. But yeah, the Scottish mixed open team. Big shout out to Robbie McKenzie, the coach, top coach, and then the Southwest Saxons. It was just brutal, mate. Completely, it was brutal. But a learning curve because the next year I went back and trained harder, and I felt part of the team in the second year with the West Wildcats rather than just a number. But you've got to be on it, and the level of fitness and the technical ability you need is different gravy, mate. Different gravy.
Yeah. My next question: most underrated team or underrated player in the current series?
Ooh, underrated team.
Hmm.
Difficult one that have played so far
Yeah.
underrated player. There's a young lad called Ricky at Packaroo that
Yeah.
I think Ricky has the potential to be really good. He's got the he's a young, I think he's 16 or
He's
17 maybe.
16, 17, but he's already started
Yeah,
lifting weights and
he's
training
got
hard.
the I don't know. I listen. I don't train him, so I don't want to speak out of turn. But from what I see, I think he's very physically fit and fast. And I think, and I don't want to sound like disrespectful to Carlos by saying if he's coached correctly. That I don't. How can I phrase this without being disrespectful? I think if he maybe if he focuses and kind of like maybe he wants to learn and ask lots of questions, and maybe I think potentially he could be very good. Who else was I impressed with? There was one of the girls that I thought was has the potential to be really good. I've got a couple of girls in my team that I think could play, that have potential to play internationally. I don't want to name names because I don't want to create a rift in my group. But there's 3 or 4 girls that I think
I
they're
can drop
probably.
names from your team. It's fine if I say it, then, isn't it?
Hey,
I'll drop the names from your team. Like you have Ceci.
yeah,
Never
100%.
seen her drop a ball
She's a
or
machine,
yeah,
complete machine.
keeps going and doesn't ever seem to want to stop. I reckon she could keep going and playing the full weekend.
Probably, she's a machine, and she's cool as well. She's very humble, and she played elite basketball right here in Valladolid, so she understands like training, and she's in the gym every day, and like you see by her muscles, she's in shape, right? And yeah, she could run all day, every day. And there's 1 or 2 others. Who else is Danny from Intocables has played? I think
No,
Danny.
it's not because he steps me every single
Yeah,
time
yeah.
we play. He's got
I
that
think I think Danny from Intoca. I think he might have played pro rugby or a decent level of rugby
I
here.
think he
So
played,
obviously,
yeah, at least. Did he not play in one of the teams down your way?
yeah, I think
Otherwise,
He played in Salvador, right? I think he played in
the other one,
Salvador.
no? Brack.
No, I think he played. Sorry, my alarm's going on. I think he played in Salvador. But
One
please
of the
correct
two.
me if I'm wrong. Yeah,
Um,
he's got a decent amount of potential. There's a
Georgian
guy
passport,
that
I know you like him.
yeah, he's funny though. I think he's probably at the age where he's probably not going to make it like at elite level. You've got who's the other guy with the dreads in your team? What's his name?
Jay.
He's got a lot of potential.
Yeah, he only started playing sort of last year when he turned up. He played rugby previously, but now played touch.
And then who else? I'm trying to think of the girls. There's a young girl called Louise that plays for Pakaru. She's from
Yeah.
Singapore. She's only here for a year. She's played she was playing at Nottingham Uni, so she's played with some really like elite players. She's very technically good. Who else is there? I'm trying to think of what the teams. There's a guy from Ossos. It's I don't remember his name. Sorry, he's quite good. Who from the girls? I'm trying to think of like the girls. There's a girl in your team. I think she's got blondish kind of hair. She's definitely got potential to be good. I can't remember her name. Sorry, I'm so bad with names.
I'm trying to think.
She was working. She was helping with the admin as well. I think her boyfriend plays as well.
Yeah, the Argentinians.
Argentina, yeah.
Julieta.
Julieta, that's the one. She's got a lot of
played
potential.
previously as well before.
And then we obviously we've got a couple of juniors. Like I'm gonna give these a shout out because they're kids. We've got 2 brothers, Rodri and Mateo, and then Kiwi Alejandro. We call him Kiwi. Kiwi and Rodri. Kiwi's 15 and Rodri's 18. They've both definitely got potential. Mateo, the younger one, is 14. Quite possibly, but it's very hard to judge because he's quite a young lad, and I don't want to put any pressure on like youngsters. I just want him to enjoy the game and play. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of potential in this series, and as I said earlier, like the level is definitely improved.
I think we've named a full squad there of just players that we think could go somewhere, which just shows that the level we're at.
But it's also about your individual, like it's what you want to do as an individual and what where you want to go. And it's okay going and playing a World Cup and saying you're an international, but are you competitive?
Yeah,
that's the key. Like and going there and like losing by 30 scores doesn't help anyone. And I'm not just talking about Spanish teams. I'm talking about other nations as well. Like it's not the Australians and the New Zealanders and England and France and Ireland, and they're all a little bit ahead of everyone else. And, like the Chinese seem to be, moving in the right direction. And like some of the other nations, that the level's definitely improving across the world for sure. But if you go to a major championship and you lose by 25 scores to 0 or 1, doesn't really do a lot to help develop the sport. It just, players go, oh, this is rubbish. I don't want to do this again. And it's a lot of money, right? So it's picking and choosing what you want to do. And like, are you willing to invest that money in yourself to travel to an international tournament, knowing that, are you going to be competitive? It's a real fine balance, right?
Okay, talking about going to tournaments, it leads me on nicely to my final question. If you could host a tournament anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Ooh, what a great question. Do you know what I really like? When they play rugby with the water and you dive in the water when you score.
I was thinking the same thing.
I think that would
just across the border in France. I think that's
I think that would be. I think that would be super cool to have like 3 or 4 fields, touch fields.
Yeah.
And you jump in the water when you score. You have to jump in the water. I think that would obviously that's not serious, but that would be rather cool. That would be really cool. Somewhere warm, because I hate playing in the cold. Like I hate playing I don't mind the rain, but I hate the cold. I don't know. Like I played touch at Twickenham. That was pretty cool. That was really cool. Do you know what I'd like to do? Like I'd like to see, and I don't think it's ever going to happen. I'd like to see a touch game played in a stadium where there's like 10 or 12,000 people like watching the game. That would be cool. I know the Australians have like a lot of people playing, but like the World Cup in Nottingham, we watched the final of the men's open, New Zealand and Australia. There was quite a lot of people watching, and it'd be quite good. If you look back in the day of touch, right back when it started, like in Australia, there was thousands of people watching the game. Like it's mad.
For the touch for the Kiwi All Stars, the Maori All Stars against the Indigenous All Star games.
Yeah. Like it's really well. So I kind of like nothing specific, but just to have. I'd like to play a match with the Alligators against, I don't know, maybe another Spanish team or whatever, and there'd be like 1,000 people watching just to make the atmosphere. Like that would be cool. That would be really cool, because then, like when you win, you kind of like celebrate a little bit. And I don't know whether that's ever going to be possible. Maybe. Listen, the world's your oyster. You might do it, but yeah, just to play in a little stadium with some nice, like perfect grass, not artificial grass. I hate the artificial stuff, but it's, it is what it is. That would be cool. That would be super cool. So,
all right, wicked. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for chatting.
Anytime.
Yeah. Next episode. Do you want to introduce who it's going to be?
Yeah. So we're gonna, or maybe you, maybe me, maybe both, maybe Danny. We're gonna have Stephen Jabral on from England, who is. I met Stephen. We'll tell you the funny story how we met when we jump on. So Stephen's going to come on and talk about all things refereeing, how he's going to help us in terms of running the courses. He's a brilliant referee, like really funny guy as well. He's from Canada. If I say he's from America, he'll kill me. But he's from Canada originally, but now lives in Bristol. I believe he's a level 5 referee waiting to be assessed. So he's pretty high level guy, but a really knowledgeable coach, really good at delivering courses. Like I've known him for about 10 years, 8-9 years. We'll tell you on the next episode how we met. It's mental, mate. It's completely mental how we met. And we did a referee course somewhere that is just so off the scale. It's unreal. You'd think, like, I'm very much glass half full, right? So if there's a problem, find a solution. And we had a problem with a venue for a referee course back in the day. So I found a venue, like, it's just so far off left field. It's unbelievable. But yeah, so Stephen's going to jump on and talk about all things refereeing. Oh, shit, I've dropped the camera. Sorry, mate. Edit that.
All right. The level of these podcasts will go up with time. We do.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So
as we grow.
Yeah. So Stephen's going to come on and talk about all things refereeing, and then we'll introduce the one that we're going to do in January, which is going to be super cool. I'm not going to say who it is, but I can say she, right? It's going to be a girl.
That.
She's super cool, super interesting, really like top level player, and a genuinely nice girl as well to talk to. She's got a real cool backstory as well. So Stephen, you're next up, baby, and I promise I won't call you American. You're Canadian.
All right, thank you very much, Mark. If you've enjoyed listening to this, guys, and you're not already following us on Instagram, give us a follow, and I'll drop that now across the bottom of the screen. And if you want to come on at some point, or you have any future questions that you want me or Mark to ask our future guests, please let us know.
All right, cool, mate. Thank you for your time. Thank you for all you do with us.
No worries.
Danny and I appreciate all the work that you put in, and just kind of like, obviously we don't pay you, so it's I know it's a lot, but without you guys and the rest of the people that help us, even in a small way, this is definitely not possible. And as I said earlier, we want to work with everyone. We don't want to create any problems with anyone in terms of what we're doing and stuff. So we're open to working with any federations, any associations, anyone around the world, any people, we are an all inclusive sport and a series. So bring it on, and here's to the future, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, mate. Later.
Later.
Thank you, mate. Love to the family, man. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.